For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube.
Do we have any Olympics reporting?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Christina. I invite you to listen to our broadcast both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel, Monday to Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. I am flying solo today, so please bear with me as I kind of jump between articles and figure out what there is. So we're just going to be a little bit more friendly and casual while we figure this out. All right, let's start with some Olympic news. We have that the Milan Cortina Olympics were the most watched Winter Games since 2014, with 96% more viewers than Beijing. In the picture, there is the Olympic rings lit up. The Olympic rings stand out during the closing ceremony of the 2026 Winter Olympics in Verona, Italy, Sunday, February 22nd, 2026. The Milan Cortina Olympics averaged 23.5 million viewers in the United States, making them the most watched Winter Games since 2014, with a 96% larger audience than the Beijing Games 4 years ago. NBC Universal said the average includes combined audiences on NBC, Peacock, CNBC, USA Network, and other digital platforms. It covered the live afternoon 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern and primetime 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Pacific windows. The figures are based on Nielsen's Big Data Plus panel ratings through February 19. Nielsen's early figures for the final 3 days, February 20th through 22nd, and digital data from Adobe Analytics. Viewership numbers for the United States' 2-1 overtime victory over Canada in men's hockey on Sunday morning were not expected until Tuesday. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation said on Monday that 8.7 million were watching in Canada when Jack Hughes scored the golden goal in overtime. I feel in so many ways that these Winter Olympics exceeded our expectations. We were reminded that the Olympics are the most exciting, unpredictable, and biggest stage in sports, said Molly Solomon, the executive producer of NBC's Olympics coverage. And what I think came together in Italy was that the settings were stunningly beautiful. The access we had to the athletes and their lives was unprecedented. And then you take the technology, the first-person view drones, the audio, and it took the audience inside the stories in fresh, meaningful ways. And Team USA, the results, you've seen the numbers for the medals and things. America wants to see how their team's performing, and it's the best performance in an overseas Olympics. Everything lived up to the billing, and some of the superstars had riveting, dramatic performances. Not all of them gold, but that's the Olympics, right? NBC broadcast the Super Bowl, the Olympics, and the NBA All-Star Game in February, the first time a network had all three in 1 month. It also premiered Sunday Night Basketball on February 1st. According to Nielsen, 215.6 million U.S. viewers tuned in for at least one of those events. Audience reach numbers have been higher under Nielsen's new rating system since the minimum viewing requirement was reduced from 5 to 3 minutes. Super Bowl 60 averaged 125.6 million viewers across NBC, Peacock, and Telemundo, the second most watched programs in U.S. history. The All-Star Game had its highest audience in 15 years, averaging 8.8 million, and the Lakers-Knicks game on February 1st averaged 4.5 million. I have to say it's probably better than we expected. Sorry, I lost my place. This doesn't happen through luck or happenstance. This happens through just really good planning and then execution across the month. So really happy overall, and I don't think it could have gone better, honestly, NBC Sports President Rick Cordella said. You can get more at AP Sports, https://apnews.com/sports. The U.S. Women's Gold medal winning team declines invitation from Trump to attend State of the Union address by John Walrow and Melissa Golden at the Associated Press. There's a picture of the women's hockey team hugging in jubilation, two of them wrapping themselves in the United States flag and celebrating their victory. The Team United States players celebrate after beating Canada 2-1 in overtime in the women's ice hockey gold medal game at the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy, Thursday, February 19th. The U.S. women's gold medal winning team has politely declined an invitation from President Donald Trump to attend his State of the Union address on Tuesday. We are sincerely grateful for the invitation extended to our gold medal winning U.S. women's hockey team and deeply appreciate the recognition of their extraordinary achievement, the U.S. women's team said in a statement released Monday. Due to the timing and previously scheduled academic and professional commitments following the Games, the athletes are unable to participate. They were honored to be included and are grateful for the acknowledgement. Trump also invited the U.S. men's gold medal winning team. Scheduling will be a challenge as the NHL regular season resumes with 5 games on Wednesday and the PWHL resumes on Thursday. Logistics played a role in the decision, as many of the women's players were not scheduled to arrive in North America until Monday evening. The men's teams flew by charter to Miami earlier Monday. The women took a commercial flight and were scheduled to land in Atlanta. A person familiar with the situation told the Associated Press that the women's players didn't learn of the invite until late Sunday night, making it difficult to change their travel plans. The person spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly about the team's travel plans. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the status of both teams. When extending the invitation to the men's team on Sunday night, Trump said, "I must tell you, we're going to have to bring the women's team. You do know that." Trump joked that if he did not also invite the women's team, I do believe I probably would be impeached. The Olympic tournament featured two thrilling medal finals, both ending in overtime with the American women beating Canada 2-1 in the gold medal game on Thursday. The U.S. men beat Canada on Sunday. It's been a whirlwind. It's been amazing. It's a dream of ours. It was such an amazing way to unite the country, Matthew Tkachuk of the U.S. men's team said after arriving in Miami. We felt the support being across the Atlantic, and now being back on home soil, we could feel it the second wheels hit the ground. So excited to be back in the greatest country in the world, and so excited to celebrate. He said it was an honor to hear from Trump after the win, and so we are definitely honored to represent him and the millions and millions across the country. Vice President J.D. Vance attended two of the U.S. women's preliminary round wins with his family over the first week of the games. This is from AP writers Stephen Wino, Charles Odom in Atlanta, and Frida Frisaro in Miami, who contributed to this report. And there is more at the apnews.com/hub/Milan-Cortina, CORTINA-2026-Winter-Olympics. Let's see, moving over to 417 Magazine. Let's see if there's something over here. Oh. Inside the Story House Bookstore. Siblings Mike Bruner and Penny Scroggs are reopening the former pagination bookshop space with help from friend Arthur Marks. Together they are creating the Story House Bookstore, a new shop shaped by community, art, and local stories by Jordan Blomquist. All right, I don't think we've read this one yet. Okay, last pictured is the owners of the store. You have founders Mike Bruner, Arthur Marks, and Penny Scroggs. Penny is on the right, and she is wearing a purple sweater with red framed glasses. Her hair is long parted in the middle, and she is seated. While standing in between her and Mike Bruner is Arthur Marks, and he is wearing some gray slacks with a black belt and a blue button-down collared shirt. He also sports some glasses. And then you have Mike Bruner. He is seated in the front, and he is smiling with fresh coat of white hair. I don't know why I said it that way. And we have he has a very nice smile, and he is wearing a tweed-styled suit jacket with a button-down pink shirt and khaki slacks. Last year, Mike Bruner received a call from his longtime friend Arthur Marks. Though Bruner wasn't living in the Ozarks at the time, the two caught up easily, talking through retirement, family, and life over the years. Before they hung up, Marks extended an invitation that would shift the course of their conversation to see his grandmother's house, once home to the late local artist Pinky Marks, as he prepared to clear it out. Bruner visited out of curiosity and walked into a time capsule. It was full of treasures, Bruner said. Hundreds and hundreds of pieces of art, original oil paintings, original watercolors, photographs, three-dimensional objects of art. Bruner invited his interior designer, Penny Scroggs, over to have a look, and she was floored. The work was then moved to a secure location and cataloged. A few months later, the house that was home to Pagination Bookshop on Walnut Street was up for sale, and the pieces were simply falling into place for Bruner, Marks, and Scroggs. The three were itching for something new to do with the Ozarks verbal and visual arts world, and to find a home for Pinky's art collection. Bruner and Marks bought the historic home, and Bruner, Marks, and Scroggs became business partners in what is now the Story House Bookstore at 1105 East Walnut Street, Springfield, Missouri, 65806. Their phone number, if you'd like to find out more, is 417-402-4513. Mark serves as Chief Financial Officer. Scroggs, the Creative Director, oversees events and staff, while Bruner, as Chief Executive Officer and Director of Strategic Development, works behind the scenes to preserve the building's character and guide the store's appeal to the public. Bruner is originally from the Ozarks, but moved away 45 years ago to become a verbal art professor. He lived all over the place, California, Seattle, Boston, Las Vegas, with his late wife, Meryl. She died early last year, and to honor her, they are hosting the grand opening of the store on March 14th, her birthday. Marks' family owned Mark's clothing store in downtown Springfield for nearly a century. After earning an engineering degree from the University of Missouri, he built an environmental waste company, all while staying deeply involved in Portland, Oregon's jazz scene. He even served as president of the Jazz Society of Oregon. For Scroggs, her children are older now, and she has the desire to build something new. Her love for storytelling came from her husband, who is a filmmaker and scriptwriter who can turn a grocery store run into an exciting 10-minute story, she says. She also recalls hearing stories from her father as a kid and thinking his tales of growing up on a farm, the youngest of 15 children, were better than any she could read in a book. The arts are really the heartbeat of inspiration, she says. Everybody's creative in some way. Pictured is a beautiful display of bookshelves with forward-facing books of all various colors. There's light shining in through the window behind the shorter bookshelf and one cornering the other one to bring in light on all of the books. There's a modern, mid-century modern styled orange sofa in front of the one window. And then next to the books are two sitting ottomans that are yellow, so you can sit and enjoy the books. And then there's more, if you going further towards the left, there's another bookshelf with some beautiful artwork behind it. The vision for the Story House. One of their first decisions was to integrate pieces of Pinky Mark's artwork into the shop. When you step inside the cozy bookshop, you'll find her paintings all over the walls. Some are her original artwork, and others are pieces she collected from local artists over the years. While they're honoring Pagination's indie spirit and welcoming atmosphere, the siblings have ambitious plans for expansion. Visitors of the bookshop could not go upstairs. It was used as an Airbnb for some time, as well as office space in the past. They are renovating the store's upstairs space to make room for events like workshops, additional books and gifts, and curated events. They also have dreams of coffee service, outdoor seating, and utilizing the patio space for additional events. They're reaching beyond Springfield city limits. Bruner has met with various MSU and jury departments and traveled to nearby towns to connect with arts communities throughout the Ozarks. His passion project is celebrating what he calls humble amateurs, which he says are people who create art but don't necessarily see themselves as professional artists. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them here, he says, and they need a place to be seen and heard and have their voices amplified. When she pictures the Storyhouse bookstore a year from now, Scroggs sees the expansion with a wide range of monthly events, more seating and more people. She sees them slowing down, peacefully reading a book outside and sipping coffee or connecting with someone. I picture people and conversations, she says. Bruner imagines a big, happy party. I think that this nest is going to get feathered a lot, he says. And we just don't know what kinds of feathers we're going to gather. But it'll be a very warm, cozy, friendly, welcoming place. Moving over to the Springfield Business Journal. Nonprofit suit against 3D printer company passes 2-year mark. Gathering tree development still in plans by Mike Cullinan at mcullinan@sbj.net. While a nonprofit organization that's built 2 tiny home communities in Springfield have been navigating legal challenges to bring a third such development to fruition, officials at the Gathering Tree say site work is ongoing. Eden Village 3 is designed as a tiny home development of duplexes on nearly 5 acres in the 2400 block of West High Street in the Tom Watkins neighborhood near Kearney Street. Sorry, the mic there. And Kansas Expressway. The Gathering Tree began building its first Eden Village of tiny homes in 2018 for the chronically homeless and disabled population in Springfield. The first Eden Village has 31 houses, while the second development, which opened in November 2021, has 24. Nate Schluter Eden Village Chief Visionary Officer said getting the third one developed has been a significant challenge, in part because the gathering tree remains involved in a federal lawsuit it filed against Mudbots LLC, a Utah-based company founded in 2020 that builds and sells 3D robotic printers. The Springfield nonprofit decided to purchase a pair of 3D printers in January 2023 from Mudbots at a cost of $1.6 million to build the duplexes. However, the nonprofit in its lawsuit alleges the printers haven't worked as promised. Mudbots, in a countersuit filed in September 2025, alleges Eden Village used the equipment incorrectly and repeatedly violated the company's terms of purchase. Schluter said Eden Village continues to work through engineering issues with the equipment and still intends to use the printers for the third development. They're continually working on the printers to fine-tune them and things like that, but that's still our intention, he said. Adding he's uncertain of the time invested to date to get the equipment working as desired. It's hundreds, if not thousands, of hours trying to rebuild something. As the Gathering Tree is a nonprofit, Schluter said he started Eden Building Solutions, LLC, in 2023 to serve as a construction company for the development. It seemed like to be able to have our liability insurance and things like that, we needed to start a construction company, he said, noting Eden Building Solutions also was named in the countersuit. Employees with Eden Building Solutions, an excavation business, Altum Construction Company, LLC, have been on site at the development this month working on stormwater preparation. It's work Schluter said must be completed before plumbers and electricians can begin applying for and obtaining permits to start underground utilities. Winter weather, particularly in the aftermath of last month's snowstorm, has slowed progress, he said. Now, when you go out there, you can see where the parking lot's going to be, where the where the community center is going to be, where the roads are going to be, and it has the stormwater retention pond, he said. Schluter said obtaining building permits from the city should not be a problem, noting he's already had meetings with officials about the development. He noted the city operates under the 2018 International Building Code, which does not address robotic construction. We have engineered testing and drawings and everything that we need to provide them when the time's right to move forward, he said. But you can't pull a permit for a house until you've got your stormwater done, and you can't build a house until the electric and plumbing permits are done. Excuse me. Martin Google, Springfield's Director of Building Development Services, said through meetings with Eden Village, the two sides have identified a pathway that will meet the building code. At this time, he said the city has no major concerns about the organization using the printers for the development. Long litigation. Ben Stringer, owner of Stringer Law LLC, is the Springfield attorney representing Eden Village. Stringer said he is working with attorneys in Utah on behalf of Eden Village as the case was transferred last year to the District of Utah federal courts at the request of Mudbots. While documents filed by Mudbots in its countersuit include signatures by several representatives of Eden Village, including Schluter on non-disclosure agreements and invoices, there is no signature from the Springfield-based organization on a copy of the Universal Terms of Purchase Mudbots submitted in its court filing. However, the 55-page Terms of Purchase document does include numerous handwritten notes, such as refused in connection with Eden Village allegedly violating terms of its warranty, including not documenting via video assembly and disassembly of the printer upon receipt. Mudbots also alleges Eden Village was aware of the requirements in the terms of purchase, but has not complied with many of them. Many. The terms of purchase document filed by Mudbots covers myriad requirements on how a buyer can and can't use a printer purchased from the company. Buyer must protect the print site and restrict access by unauthorized personnel by whatever means necessary. Sites and printer need to be guarded night and day. Buyer warrants that the printer will not be unattended at any time. Buyer will provide and require print and finishing team to wear safety vests or shirts clearly representing Mudbots logos when operating the printer. Buyer acknowledges that the printer and accessories will not be operated without a certified pilot having been trained by seller. Training for replacement pilots will be scheduled during new customer trainings in Utah. Cost for subsequent pilot training is $2,500. When reached by Springfield Business Journal via email, Mudbots CEO James Lyman Roush sent a copy of the counterclaim document but didn't respond to any questions about the case. The company's attorney of record in the case, Stephen Reinhardt, filed a request to withdraw as counsel late last month. The court granted the request February 6. Reinhardt didn't reply to a message from SBJ by press time. It'll basically pause work in the case while Roosh is given time to find new counsel, Stringer, the attorney for Eden Village, said. Additionally, Stringer is one of the attorneys representing Illinois-based Ascend Construction Solutions, which also is involved in separate federal litigation with Mudbots. Similar to the Eden Village case, the lawsuit Mudbots filed against Ascend involves its universal terms of purchase. Ascend backed out of buying a robotic printer from Mudbots and placed a hold on a $328,364 down payment check after learning about the terms of purchase, according to court documents. Mudbots then sued Ascend, which subsequently filed a countersuit. Reinhardt also was the attorney of record for Mudbots in the Ascend case and was granted a request last month by the court to withdraw, District of Utah records show. Stringer said he is in the middle of discovery in both cases, adding he's uncertain how long the litigation might go on. We've asked for the opportunity to take Roosh's deposition, and we've turned over hundreds of documents, and they have provided us with thousands of documents, he said, noting those include purchase orders. Regarding when Eden Village was aware of the terms of purchase, Schluter referred to questions to Stringer, who declined to get into factual details of the case. The bottom line is, I think that the Gathering Tree has operated in good faith from the very beginning with the fully transparent intention of trying to figure out ways to affordably build homes for the chronically unsheltered, Stringer said. That's always been our intention. It remains our intention. And it's really unfortunate that we've had this experience with this company, but sometimes unexpected things happen, and you have to figure out how to solve those problems. Eden Village isn't the only local company utilizing 3D printing for a construction project. Grant Miller, owner of Springfield Glass Company and past president of the Springfield Contractors Association, said his company has used 3D printing before on projects. However, Miller and Megan Herzog, SCA executive director, said they were unaware of other construction companies using the technology. As far as using 3D printing for walls or other major building elements, I'm not aware of technology that can economically handle the complexity and scale of typical commercial buildings just yet, Miller said via email. We have used it to make small custom parts that would have otherwise required detailed design work and costly custom machine shop work for small quantity needs. Another delay. In addition to the litigation, Schluter said Eden Village had also had to navigate an environment-related delay for around 2 years, beginning in August 2023. An attorney with an organization trying to mitigate contamination at Kerr-McGee's Superfund site called Schluter, notifying him he should be aware of a small possibility that the High Street site could be impacted. Creosote was used for about a century to treat railroad ties at the former Kerr-McGee plant in the High Street area that began operations in 1907, according to the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. Schluter said he and Stringer were able to have the 4.25-acre site tested for contamination at no cost to Eden Village. And then we waited for results forever, Schluter said, noting he received verbal notice from Greenfield Environmental Multi-State Trust, LLC, in July 2025, followed by a letter in November 2025 that the site is not contaminated. There is no elevated risk of exposure due to chemicals of concern from soil at your property. No further soil sampling and no removal of soil from the property is planned at this time, Greenfield Multi-State Trust of officials said in a letter Schluter provided to SBJ. While waiting for results, Schluter said no site work was done for over 2 years, noting the potential liability was too high. The city certainly would have allowed us to do stuff, but then you worry if it's contaminated. What kind of risk you're putting contractors in, he said. As for the completion of Eden Village 3, Schluter said he's made multiple estimates before and been wrong. For now, he's declining to provide a timeline for opening. I just know that we're out there working every day, he said. I don't know how long it takes to do the utilities for all those homes and stuff like that. He said multi-panel electrical boxes were recently ordered, but he was told there was a roughly 2-month turnaround time. But we have to be done with the stormwater, which is what they're working hard on right now, so that we could start pouring slabs, he said. Then those slabs have to cure for a while before you could put the weight of a house on them. Pictured is Nate Schluter, he has a peppered beard, is wearing a tan ball cap and thick-framed glasses. And then also there is a picture of the site work. Employees with Altum Construction Company and Eden Building Solutions consult on stormwater work at the site of future Eden Village 3 in Springfield. One worker looks like he is standing on a slab and there is dirt all around them, while 2 other workers look like they are discussing the project with him. All right. History Museum exhibit spotlights Springfield's national contributions by Karen Craigo, Kraigo at sbj.net. A new museum exhibit celebrates the contributions of Springfield and the Ozarks to the nation to align with the 250th anniversary of the United States and the 100th anniversary of Route 66. The History Museum on the Square, celebrating its own 50th anniversary in 2026, opened only in Springfield, from hometown to headlines, with a February 12th reception. The exhibit will be up through May 10th and is included with regular museum admission. Text and photos line the walls of the exhibit space. No artifacts are included, in patriotic red, white, and blue. The introductory panel explains that the exhibit celebrates a legacy of influence and achievement for the city and region. The region's communities have nurtured talent, innovation, and leadership that have reached far beyond Missouri, the panel states. From pioneering entrepreneurs and artists to athletes and storytellers, the people of the Ozarks have shaped American culture, industry, and ideas. Their accomplishments reveal how a single Midwestern region can leave a lasting mark on the nation's story. The exhibit spans from early days of the Queen City to the present, with some expected content, like Brad Pitt and Chappell Roan, internationally recognized in film and music respectively, but also some quirky local details, from the Cobra scare, when imported cobras were released near St. Louis Street in 1953, to what are referred to as the Cheese Caves of Springfield, a cold storage area known today at the Springfield Underground. Standout business stories like the Cheese Caves are included throughout the exhibit, and there's a separate section just for business accomplishments. The exhibit details, for example, how Andy's Frozen Custard was founded in Osage Beach in 1986 before opening in Springfield, and from there it grew to include 170 locations across 15 states, with plans to expand more. Springfield-style cashew chicken is also memorialized from the invention in the Queen City in the 1960s by Chef David Long. The interpretive panel calls the deep-fried chicken coated in brown sauce a celebrated example of regional culinary innovation. Bratz dolls, fashion dolls designed by Springfieldian Carter Bryant and launched in 2001 by MGA Entertainment, according to the exhibit, are attributed to Bryant's observations of local high schoolers in 1998, and a photo shows a huge display of them in a store called Bratz World in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Another area honors writers who hail from Springfield. Nationally prominent mystery writer Nancy Allen, author of the Ozarks Mystery and Anonymous Justice series, and a collaborator with James Patterson, attended the opening reception, and she counted herself proud to be among those included. Having my name included on the wall with the late Daniel Woodrell, who created the country noir genre, was a real thrill, she said via Facebook message. Allen added that her mother, who died 28 years ago, was a proud Springfieldian who loved the History Museum and frequently took her grandchildren to visit it back when it was located at Bentley House in the historic City Hall. While I stood inside the museum last night, I got misty-eyed thinking how excited she would be to see that I was included in the exhibit, she said. David Harrison, current poet laureate of Missouri and author of more than 100 children's books, according to the exhibit, was surprised to hear that he was included. Reached via Facebook Messenger, 88-year-old Harrison said he was completely surprised to learn that he was part of the exhibit, but he joked, "Putting me in a museum seems about right." Brought up to speed upon being forwarded a news release, Harrison said of the exhibit, "Wow, what a nice idea." He added, "I'm thoroughly honored to find myself included in such a grand retrospective." The exhibit is sponsored in part by the Missouri Humanities Council, which provided a $25,000 U.S. semi-quincentennial grant to be split between the new exhibit, the museum's own 50th anniversary exhibit, 50/50, Half a Century of History, which ran October 8th, 2025 through January 4th, according to Charlotte McCoy, business manager. The exhibit was mounted by Sarah Dotson, collection and exhibits manager. We focused on names or stories or headlines that have made national or international news, she said. Sean Fitzgibbons, the museum's executive director, said the exhibit is not exhaustive. We tried to get as many as we could, but of course there are going to be some people and stories we're going to miss, he said. We're asking the community to let us know what we missed, and we'll include it in the next iterations. A business surprise, Fitzgibbon said, may be that drive-thru restaurant service had its genesis in the Queen City through Red Giant's hamburger innovator Sheldon "Red" Chaney. Red was very well known for focusing on efficiency, he said. He didn't use a cash register. He just gave you the change out of his pocket and crumpled up your money and put it on the floor. The first drive-thru was also an efficiency move, according to Fitzgibbons. He realized that his cash register was right next to the wall where people drive and by to park, so he just cut a hole in the wall, he said. As far as we've been able to figure out, Red's was the first drive-thru burger restaurant. Pictured are several people around the exhibit. The exhibits are flat along the wall with pictures and writing describing each of them. And each of the visitors are reading the exhibit. Visitors peruse only in Springfield Museum exhibit at its February 12th opening. All right. P&Z changes trigger complaint against Springfield mayor. The process for selecting members of this is also by Karen Crago. The process for selecting members of Springfield City Council standing committees is under scrutiny by a group of neighborhood residents. In a letter sent to council members and signed by 7 city residents, the letter writers call into question involvement of Mayor Jeff Schrag in discussing and voting on appointees to the city's Planning and Zoning Commission as an ex officio member of Council's Public Involvement Committee. It's a concern first raised by P&Z Commissioner member at a town hall meeting held by council members Abe McGull and Craig Hosmer on January 29th. Pictured is Jeff Schrag. He has just a nice longer cut with a beard and a nice smile. Let's see. Commissioner Eric Pauley was in the audience, and he asked a question about council's failure to reappoint 3 commission members: Bruce Colony, Chris, drum roll, so page 20, Lebec, and Betty Ridge, who were eligible to be reappointed for another term. Instead, the committee recommended 3 new members: David Jacquez, Jennifer McClure, and Chris Solier. The trio were approved by council vote. When you look at the 3 that were appointed to these positions and look at their background and history, there seems to be a lot more of a slide toward development, toward business, and toward the Chamber of Commerce, Pauley said at the town hall meeting. I think that we have skewed that particular commission in a way that doesn't fully represent the city of Springfield. The concern was echoed in the February 17th letter to council that was obtained by Springfield Business Journal. The letter explained that PIC members met December 11, 2025 to consider P&Z appointments, and the mayor joined in as an ex officio member and participated in voting practices. 2 former mayors state were not the norm for previous administrations. Lebec, Ridge, and Colony, all willing to serve, have been appointed to serve the 3 remaining years of their 4-year term, the letter states. All 3 were up for reappointment or replacement. The PIC minutes from a previous meeting on December 12, 2024, show that the committee decided to stagger terms to let Colony's second term and Lebec's first term both expire January 2026, also the date when Ridge's term was scheduled to expire. That change set the state for the triple removal on December 11, 2025. The signers of the letter to council were Linda Simpkins, Delaware Neighborhood, David and Vicki Tripp, Phelps Grove, Maggie Castry, Kevin Evans, and Nancy Williams, University Heights, and William Cooper, Seminole Holland. The letter writers made several requests of council, and one is to seek a formal, independent legal advisory opinion on whether the mayor is an ex officio member of council committees with voting rights. They also ask that the full council approve standing committees members of council and the P&Z appointments be diverse and serve the public interest. Commissioner objections. In an interview after McGull and Hosmer's town hall meeting, Pauley explained his own objections to council actions. He said the new appointees lean towards business, development, and Chamber of Commerce interests and change the balance of the commission, which often must weigh in on issues where neighborhood and developer interests compete. We're not there to rubber stamp or check boxes, Pauley said. We're there to go through information as deeply as we can and point out pluses and minuses and make recommendations to council, who will go ahead and make a decision on it. Differing opinions are healthy, Pauley said. Unfortunately, I get a sense that if we start heading in one direction or another, we're not going to have that type of healthy disagreement between different individuals and different bodies, Pauley said. The new appointees are described in the letter as a realtor, Jacquez, also a member of both the Greater Springfield and Missouri Boards of Realtors, a former chamber employee, McClure, and a home builder, Solier, also a member of the Home Builders Association of Greater Springfield. Through the appointments, the letter stated, council lost the expertise of a construction manager, an attorney, and a retired journalist, Colony, Lebec, and Ridge, respectively. Complaint outlined. The letter said that at the December 11th PIC meeting where the P&Z recommendations were made, members Derek Lee Chair, McGull and Brandon Jensen were present, and Bruce Adib Yazdi was absent. But the votes for the new appointments were all 4-0, with Mayor Schrag participating in the vote. It is believed that the mayor is stacking council committees and, as alleged by at least one council member, and attending select council committee meetings to exercise power for political purposes, the letter stated, adding, "By voting as an ex officio member, we believe the mayor is exceeding the power granted to him by the charter." The letter said ex officio status is a matter of statutory or charter mandate. The charter does not grant the mayor ex officio membership status on council committees, nor does it grant him the power to vote, the letter stated. He is seizing power he doesn't have. Historically, it is not believed the mayor has done this. It added that the city has a council manager, weak mayor form of government. The charter states the mayor is recognized as head of the city government for all legal and ceremonial purposes and shall have no veto power, the letter stated. Mayor respond. Reached February 17th by phone, Schrag said he considered his committee appointments to be a point of pride. "I do take commission and board assignments pretty seriously," he said. "I worked hard to find folks, to vet folks, and to look at folks that I believe represent the community best. He said his goal is to leave no seats vacant and keep all slots full of good people. "When I started on this journey, I thought the mayor appointed everybody," he said. "I was a little bit heartbroken to realize the mayor only gets a few. The manager gets some and the council gets some. I think the mayor should get all of them." He added, "If Jeff would wave a magic wand, that's one thing he'd change. All appointments come from the mayor." Schrag said he feels very good about the quality of the 3 people appointed to P&Z. McClure worked for the chamber, but she worked for the Home Builders Association as well. "Home builders need climate, they need neighborhoods, and they also deal with regulations all the time," he said. "I think she sits in a nice sweet spot of understanding the importance of getting new housing stock to our community, and she's incredibly smart." Solier had served on a P&Z commission in a smaller city, he said, and Jacquez brings experience as a realtor with an understanding of the importance of housing stock and new construction. Schrag added that he had studied committee structure as he set out in various ordinances, and he had also studied the charter. Many of the practices done previously were not dictated by charter but by tradition. He said there are 4 council standing committees that must exist and must have 4 members each. "If I wanted to, I could put the same 4 people on every committee and call it a day," he said. But he also felt it was important for every council member to have some representation on a committee, and the only tradition he upheld was the idea that each member gets assigned to 2 committees. "I'm going to go ahead and say it. I feel very good about how the committees are working right now," he said. Schrag added that before he changed committee processes, he sought direction from the city attorney, and all of his actions are in accordance with the city charter and the law. Former member weighs in. In a February 4th interview, Colony said it looks to him like the mayor is trying to tilt the balance of P&Z towards development interests. "I would exactly call myself not developer-friendly," he said, adding that he has living off of development for the last couple of decades. "Without developers, I wouldn't have a job, but I'm certainly a fan of responsible development or development that fits in a community. I'm not for build whatever you want, wherever you want it. Colony said that when he took his oath for his second term, he was advised by the city clerk that the term was reduced to just 1 year in order to balance staggered terms, a decision made at that December 11th committee meeting. "Why they chose my term as opposed to Bill Knuckles, I'm not sure," he said, referring to another P&Z commissioner. He said that the 3 commissioners who were removed have backed neighborhood residents in many instances, and that's the result of P&Z members listening to pros and cons from all sides, including city staff. He gave the example of a contested 7 Brew Coffee location at the corner of Jefferson Avenue and Sunshine as an example of an occasion when council and P&Z disagreed. That particular case was denied by planning and zoning 3 times, he said. There didn't seem to be any local support other than some fairly high-profile investors and developers that really wanted that 7 Brew there. But he said, despite P&Z denial and previous council romance of the issue, council ultimately approved the coffee shop anyway. If everyone thinks it's a bad idea, maybe it is, he said. Maybe it just doesn't fit. Maybe the thing you think you want to do there might be better somewhere else. Colony said developers have influence, but P&Z offers guardrails against that influence. You need to have those guardrails to make sure development is in the best interest of the city, he said. False narrative. As a new P&Z commissioner, McClure objects to the idea that she operates on behalf of the chamber. McClure served as vice president of strategic communications for the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce for a 6-year stint ending in 2023. But she said in an interview February 19th that the role was not the sum total of what she brings to the table. Rather, she described herself as an educated, engaged citizen who cares about her community. My civic and nonprofit contributions have been very important to me for decades, she said. McClure said she is now 60 years old, and it has been hard to see some 35 years of professional and civic contributions overlooked. I feel a little bit bullied and harassed by a false narrative, she said. It hurts to be minimized in that way. McClure's background includes City Commission service, including service on the Springfield Greene County Park Board and the Mayor's Commission for Children. In the community, she has been active on boards, including President's service on the board of the Boys and Girls Club of Springfield and on parent-teacher organizations, with 7 years as a court-appointed special advocate. Of P&Z, she said, "I see it as a continuation of serving a community that I love." She added that she feels privileged to serve in any capacity. "With any responsibility, it's my intention to serve with integrity, to deliberate carefully, and to deliberate carefully. That's why that didn't make sense. To deliberate carefully and to comply with all the rules and regulations," she said. McClure said that she also has a 35-year track record of professional contributions, and a period of service with the chamber is only one part of it. "It's incredibly hurtful to me that someone would distill me, so I guess maybe being a puppet of one employer," she said. "That's really offensive and insulting to me." Mayoral perspective. Bob Stevens, Springfield Mayor 2012 to 2017, said he remembers appointing council members to standing committees, but not serving as a voting member of them. "I just appointed them," he said. "I tried to match them up best I could with their talents and the responsibilities of the committees. You try to get the best person you can." One member in particular struck Stevens as someone who should have been retained: Colony. "He was an excellent member," Stevens said. "There's no reason he shouldn't have been reappointed. In fact," he said, "the 3 people who came off the commission were all squeaky clean." "I would be a little concerned about the tilt of the pro-chamber, pro-business, pro-development thing," he said. "You kind of see the same thing going on in the state legislature or national legislature. It's creeping conservatism." Stevens doesn't like the idea of the mayor appointing all committee and commission members. "The mayor is elected by the people, but so are all the other council members," he said. "You're not trying to set up a rubber stamp." Stevens said the fact that Schrag formerly served as chair of the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce gives him pause. "All the connections there are just a little bit suspicious to me from a pro-business, pro-development standpoint," he said. "He may be overstepping a bound or two." Jim O'Neill served as mayor 2009 to 2012, and he said the tension between business and residents' interests is not new. "A fundamental balance has to occur, and it's never perfect," he said. "Sometimes it seems that the council is too closely aligned with the chamber, and sometimes council doesn't recognize problems and obstacles that city government puts in the way of businesses in Springfield. You have to look at both of them." O'Neill said he has known Schrag a long time and believes the mayor understands the balance. "The mayor is his own person, and he cares deeply about the community," O'Neill said. He added that Schrag comes from a business background, and it's only natural that he would align with business interests. O'Neill said if the charter allows the mayor to vote, doing so is his prerogative. "The bigger issue is to have awareness of the balance between the business community and the citizens, and the services they're looking to receive," he said. "It's a perception issue for the most part." O'Neill said the 4 council standing committees were established during his term on council, which was 1987 to 1991. Each council member of the 8 served on 2 committees, and there were 4 members on each of the 4 committees, he said. "I don't remember getting much deeper into what the mayor's role really was." He added that he did not vote as an ex officio member unless it was to break a tie. Chamber voice. Councilmember Hosmer said it's impossible to tell where a P&Z appointee will line up on neighborhood developer issues. "You want a board just like you want a council," he said. "A bigger cross-section of the community makes better public policy. When you pack it full of people that are all pro-development, what happens is neighborhoods don't think they get a fair shot. That leads to distrust, referendums, and a lot of other issues," Hosmer said. He said P&Z appears to represent a less diverse cross-section of the community with the new appointments. "I know Jen McClure has worked for the chamber. Not that that's bad," he said, "but it shows there is a propensity to favor that side over a neighbor's side. That perception matters," according to Hosmer. "If you have boards that people feel like are just rubber stamps, you sort of lose that feeling that you get a fair shot in front of a board or commission." Hosmer was critical of Schrag's committee adjustments. He said he was removed from his longtime membership in the Community Involvement Committee, and Schrag packed the Finance and Administration Committee with him, Jensen, Monica Horton, and Adib Yazdi. "That's a committee that historically hasn't done a whole lot," he said, of Finance and Administration. That way he has at least 2 people that are more chamber people on each of the other committees, so there's not much in the way of crossover. Hosmer added that Schrag put Lee, a general council representative and not a zone representative, in charge of the PIC, which makes board and committee appointments. "For the 12 to 13 years I've been on council, that's always been chaired by a zone member, and all zone members are on there," he said. "You want a cross-section of the community to be on boards and commissions." Pictured is Jennifer McClure. She has long blonde hair, a smile, and some thick brown glasses. Characterization that she is a chamber operative is minimizing and hurtful, she says. All right. Things to do with kids in Springfield, Missouri. This is updated February 2026, so let's see if there's something fun to do. Looking for things to do with your kids around Southwest Missouri? Here are a few picks for kid-friendly activities and events year-round in and around Springfield. If you're raising kids in Springfield, Missouri, or just visiting with them, you've probably realized one thing: this is a fantastic place to spend time as a family. From expansive parks and trails to iconic pizza buffets and museums, plus plenty of surprises, Southwest Missouri is packed with easy, kid-friendly options that don't require months of planning or a maxed-out credit card. Whether you're wrangling toddlers, entertaining tweens, or figuring out how to get teens off the electronics and out of the house, there's no shortage of things to do with kids here year-round. This guide is meant to be a practical starting point, a skimmable roundup of Springfield and Southwest Missouri's best family-friendly ideas across the outdoors, indoor play, arts, food, and even short getaways. Think of it as a cheat sheet, your go-to every time one of your kids asks, "What should we do this weekend?" Each section below highlights a handful of local favorites, with links to in-depth guides for those who want more details or even more options. Kid-friendly restaurants. Eating out with kids doesn't have to feel like a test of endurance. Springfield, Missouri has plenty of restaurants that not only welcome families, but actively cater to them. Incredible food and fun at 2850 South Campbell Avenue, Springfield, Missouri, 417-501-0826. Incredible Food and Fun, formerly Incredible Pizza, is kind of the go-to when you want both dinner and entertainment. Think the old school Chuck E. Cheese or Peter Piper from your own childhood, but not corporate. Enjoy a pizza buffet that also has build-your-own salad, taco and nacho bars, plus arcade games. Kids under 3 always eat free. The Walk on Scenic, 4153 South Scenic Avenue in Springfield, 417-823-7138. For something lower key, head to the Walk on Scenic. Along with classic Chinese dishes, each table has board and card games, and there's cornhole on the patio for keeping everyone busy while waiting for food. The 14 Mill Market at 203 East Mount Vernon Street in Nixa, Missouri, 417-763-6500. 14 Mill Market in Nixa delivers food hall vibes with plenty of space to spread out. Families can mix and match Korean barbecue, tacos, sliders, poke bowls, waffles, and more, while kiddos roam the backyard desk outdoor space between outdoor games and seating areas. Van Gogh's Eatery, 334 East Commercial Street in Springfield, 417-344-0085. Van Gogh's Eatery earns points for a surprisingly thoughtful kids menu, including a Kinder charcuterie board and the Baby Slam, featuring unicorn toast with sprinkles naturally. And when you're craving something familiar, Springfield Institution Mexican Villa offers Kids Eat Free Wednesdays across its 7 local locations. Outdoor activities for kids. When the weather cooperates, which thankfully is much of the year, Springfield families head outside. Many of Springfield's best outdoor activities are low cost or free and easily fit into schedules. Pictured above is a family hiking down a nature trail, lots of greenery and trees. And then to the right is a picture of 2 people kayaking down a lovely waterscape. And and it's lined by trees on either side. The Springfield Conservation Nature Center, 4601 South Nature Center Way in Springfield, 417-888-4237. The Springfield Conservation Nature stands out for multi-generational outings. Short, approachable trails feature stroller and wheelchair-friendly boardwalks and creek crossings. Indoors, the Visitor Center has interactive exhibits and live animals. Bonus, turn this into an all-day outing with boat rentals or disc golf at the adjacent Lake Springfield Park. Springfield Cardinals games at Hammons Field, 955 East Traffic Way, Springfield, Missouri, 417-863-0395. During baseball season, early April through mid-September into October if the team makes the playoffs, a Springfield Cardinals games makes for a wholesome family outing. Watch for promotional nights like Fireworks Fridays and Thursday games when the team plays as the Cashew Chickens. Lost Hill Park, 4705 North Farm Road, 151, Springfield, Missouri, 417-833-8647. Families who enjoy exploring will appreciate Lost Hill Park. Trails wind down the South Dry Sack River, passing beneath bluffs, a natural bridge, and a hidden cave. The trail system also connects to the Fulbright Spring Greenway for longer walks or bike rides. Getaway Golf. It's at 3833 East State Highway D in Springfield, Missouri, 417-881-4653. Getaway Golf, open March through December, isn't your typical mini golf spot. Choose from 2 themed 18-hole courses, then play free yard games, including ping pong and cornhole, and enjoy snacks and drinks on the covered patio. Kids putt half off on Wednesdays. At Fellows Lake in Springfield, Missouri. Want to hit the lake without leaving town? Fellows Lake offers kayak, paddleboard, pedal boat, motorized boat, and sailboat rentals. Skills check required and sailing classes available March 1st through October 31st. The park also has fishing docks, playgrounds, picnic areas, and nature trails. Pictured is a family playing an inside game. It looks like there is a large screen, and it looks like a panda with an open mouth, and they're throwing balls at the mouth for the game. And then another one is a family surrounded by 3 pop-up screens that have information about Mars, Jupiter, and another planet unpictured. Indoor activities for kids. Too hot, too cold, raining sideways, or unbearably windy. Springfield has plenty of indoor options that keep kids moving, entertained, and learning. Wonders of Wildlife Nation, a museum and aquarium at 500 West Sunshine Street in Springfield, Missouri, 1-800-456-4812. Wonders of Wildlife, also known as WOW, is the obvious one, with massive aquariums and immersive exhibits that appeal to all ages. Pair it with a stroll through Bass Pro Shops, where free attractions like the Boone and Crockett's Club National Collection of Heads and Horns and the Motorsports Museum add even more to the experience. The Village Meeple Board Game Cafe. I'll put a plug. I really love them. 1570 East Battlefield Road, Suite F, Springfield, Missouri, 417-324-4563 are really fantastic. Connect without screens at Village Meeple Board Game Cafe. The women-owned cafe charges just $5 for an all-day pass to access hundreds of board games, plus a food truck and drinks. There's even a take-home game rental program. And they also usually put a spot if you do the library reading program where you can come, kids can come for free with an adult. Firehouse Pottery, 4150 South Lone Pine Avenue, Springfield, Missouri, 417-881-8381. Creative kids will love Firehouse Pottery in Galloway Village, where they can channel their creativity into painting their own pottery pieces. Options range from ornaments and mugs to ramen bowls and piggy banks. Check out Storytime Pottery the first Saturday of the month. 1984, 400 South Jefferson Avenue in Springfield, Missouri, 417-831-3665. When you're feeling a touch competitive, 1984 Arcade downtown is hard to beat. A $12 admission fee covers unlimited retro video games, with the exception of a coin-operated pinball and claw machines, making it ideal for families with kids of different ages. Bright Speed Ice Park, 635 East Traffic Way Street, Springfield, Missouri, 417-866-7444. Burn off some energy ice skating at Bright Speed Ice Park downtown. Inside, 2 NHL-sized rinks host public skating sessions, as well as hockey and figure skating leagues. You can also cheer on the Missouri State Ice Bears here. Arts and entertainment for kids. Springfield's family-friendly offerings go well beyond playgrounds and pizza joints, with plenty of all-ages welcome arts and cultural experiences built for curious minds. Pictured is a sports stadium with lots of people on the field, and there is a brilliant fireworks show going on behind. The Missouri Institute of Natural Science, 2327 West Farm Road, 190, Springfield, Missouri, 417-883-0594. The Missouri Institute of Natural Science is a must-see, and best of all, it's free. Families can get up close and personal with dinosaur fossils, including a full Triceratops, along with extensive mineral and rock displays. If the weather's nice, head up the hill to dig for your own fossils. And yes, you can take them home. Springfield Little Theater, 2327 West Farm Road, 190, Springfield, Missouri, 417-883-0594. For live performances, Springfield Little Theater puts on volunteer-driven productions at the historic Landers Theater downtown. Family-friendly shows like The Little Mermaid and Seussical the Musical introduce kids to live theater in a fun, approachable way. The Discovery Center of Springfield, 438 East St. Louis Street, Springfield, Missouri, 417-862-9910. The Discovery Center of Springfield, the city's children's museum, skews a bit younger, but still delivers hours of hands-on fun. Interactive exhibits like life-size Minecraft building blocks and flight simulators encourage kids to touch, build, and experiment, making it especially popular with elementary-age children. Silver Dollar City, 399 Silver Dollar City Parkway, Branson, Missouri, 417-336-7100. And while Silver Dollar City is best known for its thrilling rides, the daily live performances, seasonal headliner concerts, and working artisans from blacksmiths to glassblowers add a pleasantly unexpected dimension. Man suspected of killing 2 Christian County deputies, deaths, dies in a shootout. This is moving over to the Springfield News-Leader. This is by Susan Such. I believe I said that right. A suspect in the death of 2 Christian County deputies is dead following an early morning shootout on February 24th, according to the Stone County Sheriff's Office. 2 other deputies were wounded in the incident. Richard Dean Bird, 45, was killed in a Tuesday morning shootout February 24th following a traffic stop and a manhunt, according to reporting from the Kansas City Star. During the Monday afternoon traffic stop near Highlandville, Bird allegedly shot and killed Deputy Gabrielle Ramirez. 2 deputies were injured, and a second Christian County deputy was killed Tuesday morning when law enforcement advanced on a wooded area where they were searching for Bird. Please keep your thoughts and prayers with Christian County Sheriff's Office, the family of those men that gave their lives today for this job, and their community. The 2 deputies that sustained gunshot wounds and are in the hospital right now that are going to make it, but please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Stone County Sheriff Doug Rader said in an early morning Facebook video. It's probably the worst day in the history of the Christian County Sheriff's Office. Governor Mike Kehoe also shared his condolences on Facebook. I am grateful for the collaboration between local law enforcement officers, the Missouri State Highway Patrol, and the federal partners in taking down the perpetrator. This terrible tragedy is yet another solemn reminder of the sacrifices law enforcement officers make to keep our communities safe. Kehoe posted at 8 a.m. on February 24th. Claudia and I are keeping the families of both deputies who were killed, those officers injured, and the entire Southwest Missouri law enforcement community in our prayers. The Missouri State Highway Patrol initially issued a blue alert about 4:30 p.m. February 23rd for a white 2001 Chevrolet Silverado. The blue alert system is used when a law enforcement officer is killed or seriously injured in the line of duty. The blue alert was canceled about 1 a.m. with the MSHP saying that the suspect was in custody. The Christian County Sheriff's Office has not yet responded to our request for comment as a publication. Pictured is Richard Dean Bird, the subject of the manhunt. Blue alert issued Monday after the Christian County deputy was killed during a traffic stop. Died in a shootout early Tuesday. He is a bald male with a brown beard, cut short, and he is wearing a gray hoodie with a Carhartt-style jacket over it. Waiting on the computer to take me to the next screen. Here we go. The campaign, let's see, where's the beginning? Campaign aims to expand safe and after-school options for Ozarks kids by Janice Reeser, reporter assisted by AI. The Boys and Girls Club of the Ozarks has launched its annual Great Futures campaign to support local youth, according to a community announcement. The campaign aims to provide children with the support, safety, and opportunities they need outside of school. Many children in the Ozarks lack a safe and structured environment after school, and during the summer, increasing the risk of learning loss and unsafe situations. The campaign seeks community support. Out-of-school time is one of the most overlooked yet essential components of a child's development, Stoney Hayes, CEO of the club, said in the announcement. It takes both in-school learning and out-of-school experiences to put young people on the right path. Our club is committed to making sure this critical time is part of the conversation. The club offers programs, mentoring, and a safe environment for local youth. Many children rely on the club not only for enrichment, but also for stability, meals, and a sense of belonging. Donations will expand program access. The campaign invites community members to contribute financially to support expanded access to programs and increased capacity. The club staff and board members see the impact of each donation, noting that the children seek safety, support, and someone who believes in them. The club provides these resources, but community support is crucial. The Boys and Girls Club of the Ozarks encourages individuals to contribute to the campaign to ensure every child has the opportunity for a great future. Those interested in learning more or seeing the impact firsthand are invited to schedule a club tour. About the club. For more than 32 years, the Boys and Girls Club of the Ozarks has been a constant in the lives of children and families in the community, according to the announcement. The club consists of 4 units in Taney and Stone counties: Branson, Crane, Forsyth, and Reed Spring. The programs are aligned with the goals of the respective school districts and are designed to improve academic achievement and expand enrichment opportunities for youth during after-school hours and summer months. The clubs are also part of a referral network for families in need of educational opportunities, services, and resources that might not otherwise be available through state and federal assistance programs. For information about the Boys and Girls Club of the Ozarks, visit bgcozarks.org. To donate or inquire about the Great Futures campaign, contact Stony Hayes at shays@bgcozarks.org or 417-335-2089. Missouri asks drivers to report potholes as repairs ramp up. This is also by Janice Reeser, reporter assisted by AI. The Missouri Department of Transportation is asking motorists to report potholes as crews ramp up repairs. MoDOT crews are focusing on pothole repairs as weather allows, aiming to keep roads safe and smooth, according to the announcement. To be proactive and efficient, we're using historical data, in addition to reports from the public, to identify areas where potholes most commonly develop, Becky Almaroth, Chief Safety and Operations Officer, said in the announcement. We ask motorists to please be patient with us and give our crews room to work safely as they repair the roadways. How do potholes form? Potholes form when temperatures warm up during the day but remain cold at night. Rain and snow leave moisture that seeps into the cracks and joints in the pavement. Frozen water and cracks and under the surface cause the pavement to bulge and bend, and when the ice melts, the pavement contracts and leaves gaps or voids in the surface. Vehicles driving over the weakened pavement eventually causes chunks of asphalt to pop out, creating potholes. MoDOT maintains 34,000 miles of road, including interstates, U.S. and Missouri routes, and lettered routes. In 2025, the department patched more than 650,000 potholes at a cost of $20 million. This season, innovation is at the heart of how MoDOT keeps everyone safe as we work to repair potholes across the state, Almaroth said in the announcement. We've equipped our protective vehicles with technology that sends real-time digital alerts to drivers through connected devices, such as the Waze app, giving them extra time to slow down and move over. By combining smart tools with proactive planning, we're working to protect our crews and the traveling public. How to report a pothole in Missouri. Motorists can report the location of potholes on state-maintained roads using the following tools. Call the 24/7 Customer Service Center at 1-888 Ask MoDOT 275-6636. So that's 1-888-275-6636. Use the Report a Road Concern form at missouri.org. So modot.org, MODOT.org. In some areas of the state, Waze users can report potholes using the hands-free reporting feature within the app. Potholes on city streets or subdivisions should be reported to local city or county maintenance. This story was created by Janice Reeser, JREESER, at usatodayco.com with the assistance of artificial intelligence. Journalists were involved in every step of the information gathering, review, editing, and publishing process. All right, we've got Springfield Sales Tax Board violates the City Charter Council's hold by Marta Mies. The Springfield City's Council is accused of violating the city charter when establishing a sales tax oversight board. Violations include the board having too few members, including non-city residents, and not meeting residency requirements. A local resident's letter warns these errors could nullify the board's decision and expose the city to lawsuits. When Springfield City Council established a citizens group to oversee the use of the revamped 3/4-cent sales tax in early 2025, it violated certain provisions of the city charter. Springfield resident Linda Simpkins sent a letter to Council Monday, February 23rd, raising questions about the conflicts between the board's creation and the charter, which acts as the city's constitution, and called on Council to determine a path forward in correcting these errors. Pictured is the Bush Municipal Building on Thursday, September 5th, 2025. The Citizens Advisory Board, CAB, was set up as an oversight board to review and determine uses for the half-cent portion of the 3/4-cent spring forward SGF sales tax approved by voters November 5th, 2024. The group makes recommendations to City Council about how these tax funds, roughly $30 million a year, should be used based on the criteria outlined by the group that weighed in on how the tax should be framed and sent to voters. The Citizens Commission on Community Investment, the CCCI, was the one to suggest to Council that a body like the CAB should be created to oversee the revamped tax in the first place. The resolution establishing the CAB, approved in January 2025, outlines that the board shall consist of 7 to 11 members and that members must have resided or worked in the city for not less than 1 year immediately prior to appointment. Neither the number of the members nor the requirements for appointees align with the charter, however. The charter requires that every city board and commission have at minimum 9 members. City Attorney Jordan Paul recently made a presentation about this portion of the charter to the Plans and Policies Committee in the context of establishing a citizen commission that would oversee campaign finance limits. Paul was also the city attorney when the CAB was established. Additionally, the charter requires that all members of city boards be city residents for at least 2 years and registered voters. The only exception is the intergovernmental boards formed in partnership with an outside entity, such as the Greene County Commission. Paul declined to comment on February 23rd about the violations or contents of Simpkins' letter. Board includes non-city residents, does not meet other charter requirements. Council selected appointees to the CAB from a large pool of applicants. 9 board members initially were selected, but when former councilman Andy Lear decided not to move forward with serving on the board, the council did not replace him. That created the current 8-member board, violating the 9-member requirement in the charter, though the resolution's allowance for a 7-member board already violates this provision. In public meetings leading up to the appointments, council did not discuss charter requirements. Additionally, 2 of the members selected by council are not city residents. While Ernan D'Anastasio and Christina Engel both work within city limits, they reside outside the city. Simpkins' letter raises concern that the appointments of non-residents and the seemingly blatant violations of the charter cast doubt on council's actions and the tax allocations the CAB has recommended so far. The missing piece is who suggested the inclusion of non-city residents, the reasons, and under what authority, the letter says. The letter also highlights that council's decision to appoint a chair and vice chair for the CAB also violated the charter, which empowers boards to elect their own officers. Council selected D'Anastasio as chair and Rusty Worley as vice chair after Lear declined the appointment. Simpkins' letter warns that the charter violations expose the city to a risk of lawsuits, and if the resolution were to be voided by the courts, would mean anything the CAB has done thus far could be null and void, as well including the board's recommendation that $30 million in tax funds be set aside for a proposed convention and event center to match a potential state allocation. I'm perplexed at how a foundational element of the city's constitution since its adoption in 1953 was breached, she wrote in the letter. While highlighting potential negative consequences to council members who approve the resolution and the city attorney, Simpkins argues that the greatest damage will come from further diminishing public trust. The CAB was established and its members selected prior to the election of current Mayor Jeff Schrag and Councilman Bruce Adib-Yazdi in April 2025. Simpkins further raised concerns about conflicts of interest among CAB members. In the letter, she notes that both D'Anastasio and Leslie Forrester also serve on the Visit Springfield Board of Directors, and that both voted to recommend the $30 million allocation for the convention center, which Visit Springfield has been heavily involved in promoting, along with funding a portion of the consultant study for the new project. Simpkins argues the two should have disclosed this conflict and recused from voting, as the city's Code of Ethics for board members states that no person can serve 2 masters, nor should he attempt to do so. She also takes issue more generally with the lack of diversity on the board, noting the majority of members have current or prior ties to the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce. The concerns come on the heels of questions raised surrounding recent appointments to the Springfield Planning and Zoning Commission. In a letter sent out last week, Simpkins and other local neighborhood residents sounded alarms on the commission being skewed to favor business interests and questioned the qualifications for certain commissioners. The February 23rd letter leaves any resolution in the hands of the council, though Simpkins indicated she would like to see council discuss the matter in public rather than at closed meetings. City's chief spokesperson, Cora Scott, told the News-Leader that the mayor notified council members Monday afternoon that he will be sending a committee referral memo to be reviewed by the council at its March 9th meeting in light of questions regarding various board commissions within the city. This note to council from Shrug was sent out 10 minutes after receiving Simpkins' letter. Marta Meese covers local government at the News-Leader. Springfield's Route 66 businesses offered funds to refresh storefronts. The West Central Neighborhood Alliance in Springfield announced a new initiative to support local businesses along historic Route 66, according to a community announcement. The Mother Road Business Curb Appeal Program will offer matching reimbursement funds to businesses looking to revitalize their storefronts. Up to $500 in matching funds available. Approved businesses can receive up to $500 in matching reimbursement funds for exterior improvements. Eligible projects include painting, signage, murals, landscaping, and specialized Route 66 storefront displays for the Centennial, according to the announcement. The program is open to businesses between Kimbrough Avenue and Kansas Expressway. The application period opened February 20th. Applications submitted by March 1st will receive priority review to ensure storefronts are ready for the Centennial kickoff on April 30th. Celebration to mark Route 66 Centennial. The initiative comes as Springfield prepares to host the National Route 66 Centennial Kickoff Celebration. The event will showcase hometown pride and the open road spirit that made the Mother Road an American icon, according to the announcement. The West Central neighborhood was home to the Colonial Hotel, where the name Route 66 was first officially proposed in 1926, the announcement said. Our purpose is to unite neighbors and support the entrepreneurs who keep the spirit of Route 66 alive, a WCNA spokesperson said in the announcement. We are excited to work with local businesses to improve our historic neighborhood and promote West Central as a premier place to live, work, and play as we head into the Centennial. Participants invited to a block party. Participating businesses will be invited to take part in a Mother Road block party during the 2026 birthplace of Route 66 Festival. For more information on eligibility or to request an application, contact WCNA at 417-569-8866 or via email at rew1215, so 1215. Let me start that over. rew1215 at yahoo.com. The story was created by Janice Reeser, J. Reeser at usatoday.co.com. So Jreeser. All right. 8 college football coordinator hires I can't stop thinking about by Blake Topmeyer. Key points: Clemson and Dabo Swinney decide to play the hits with Chad Morris. Well, good luck. Can Bobby Petrino save Bill Belichick? Ask Jimbo Fisher or Sam Pittman on how that goes. Chip Kelly with Northwestern sounds interesting. Very interesting. An ace coordinator is a coach's second best friend, just behind an ace quarterback. In times of glory, a coordinator gets exalted as a guru. In times of trouble, a coordinator serves as a fall guy for a struggling coach. But those who know how to expertly call an offense or defense will never be out of work for long. As college football's spring practice arrives, here are 8 new coordinators I can't stop thinking about. Some profile as home runs, while others are puzzling hires. Come along for the good, the bad, the head scratchers. Bobby Petrino, North Carolina offensive coordinator. After a stint as Arkansas's interim head coach, Bobby Petrino will link up with Bill Belichick in Chapel Hill to jumpstart a flailing North Carolina offense, and pictured is Bobby with a, I assume it's Bobby, with a hat a team hat, and a black zip-up jacket. What is it about coaches on the hot seat thinking Petrino can save them? Jimbo Fisher tried it at Texas and A&M. It didn't work. Sam Pittman tried it at Arkansas. Didn't work. Okay, it was an Arkansas hat. Now it's Belichick's turn with Petrino riding shotgun. If Belichick flops in year 2, UNC's cost to fire him would be just about $10 million. Small potatoes in this landscape. With Belly's job on the line, he's turning to a coordinator whose best work occurred a decade ago with Lamar Jackson in Louisville. There's no Jackson on this roster. To put it bluntly, it's tough to see Belichick-Petrino union flourishing. At least there's only one way to go for UNC's offense, which was pitiful last season. Chip Kelly, Northwestern offensive coordinator. Can't imagine Northwestern landing a more accomplished coordinator than Kelly. He put on a play-calling masterclass through 2024 Ohio State's national championship run. Kelly previously decided at UCLA that being a college head coach isn't for him anymore. That's fine. Northwestern's David Braun just needed him to run the offense. Kelly is good at that. In a world in which Vanderbilt can go 10-3, why can't Northwestern pack a punch in the Big Ten? For that to happen, Kelly must upgrade Northwestern's offense to complement a solid defense. He'll have a veteran quarterback at his fingertips. Aiden Chillis transferred in from Michigan State. This is Kelly's 4th job in the past 4 years, so Northwestern better just enjoy this while it lasts. Charlie Weiss Jr., LSU offensive coordinator. How important was Weiss to Mississippi? Well, consider that after Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss for LSU, Weiss kept running the Rebels' offense, and they sizzled in 2 playoff victories. They nearly reached the national championship, too. Don't look at Weiss as Kiffin's caddy. He's the real deal as an OC, and he might become a head coach himself one day in the not-too-distant future. In the meantime, he's back with Kiffin. That's about as important as any roster plunder the Portal King has made. At Ole Miss, Weiss helped develop Jackson Dart and Trinidad Chambliss. Kiffin receives a lot of fanfare for his offensive genius, deservedly so, but Weiss merits acclaim too. Kiffin and Weiss go way back. Expect a smooth operation at LSU. Will Muschamp, Texas defensive coordinator. Who says a former coach in waiting can't go home? Texas, you'll recall, tapped Muschamp as Mac Brown's future heir nearly 2 decades ago. Muschamp got tired of waiting and left to replace Urban Meyer at Florida. In the years that followed, we learned Muschamp wasn't head coaching material, but that's not the assignment in this role reprisal. Muschamp knows defense, and he became a valued member of Kirby's smart staff the past several years. For Longhorn fans, seeing Muschamp back in burnt orange should evoke good feelings. Texas fielded fierce defenses during his years running the unit for Brown. Does he still have the touch? No reason to think he won't succeed with Texas's talent base. This is a pricey win-now hire for a program that's got one more season with Arch Manning. Gary Patterson, Southern Cal defensive coordinator. It's a rare season when a Lincoln Riley team fields a great defense. So is Patterson the resolution to Riley's career-long problem, or set to become the latest coordinator who will try and fail to instill the sturdiness needed for Riley's Trojans to elevate from also-ran to national champion? There's really no telling how this will go. Many of Patterson's TCU teams played the type of defense you'd want, but he last served as an assistant coach more than 25 years ago. It's fascinating to see how someone used to be in charge will adapt to being a lieutenant. A lack of talent is not a concern for USC, but the 66-year-old Patterson must show he can get the requisite buy-in, toughness, and commitment to detail to accelerate a defense that ranked towards the bottom of the Big Ten the past 2 seasons. Buster Faulkner, Florida offensive coordinator. Florida fans forced to endure 4 seasons of Billy Napier's offense sought to be joyous about the offensive coordinator hire for John Sumrall's first staff. Haynes King flourished in Faulkner's offense at Georgia Tech, and the Yellow Jackets led the ACC in yards per play last season. Faulkner brought along a quarterback who knows his system too, with rising sophomore Aaron Philo coming to Florida from Georgia Tech. Faulkner is a part of a young but promising Florida staff. Among Sumrall and his 2 coordinators, Faulkner is the oldest at 44 years old. They're all working the biggest job of their lives. That's a risk for sure, but it's a boon to Florida to nab an offensive coordinator whose career is ascending. Chad Morris, Clemson offensive coordinator. What is Dabo Swinney thinking? Seriously, inquisitive minds would like to know. This is the ultimate YOLO hire for a coach whose program has failed to assimilate to the NIL and transfer eras. Leave it to Dabo to think he'll fix Clemson's ailments by bringing back a coordinator who was part of the Tigers' ascent under Swinney more than a decade ago. Morris went on to become one of the worst coaches in SEC history, winning 4 games in 2 seasons at Arkansas. He's been stuck in something akin to coaching purgatory the past several seasons. With Swinney's tenure in a state of freefall, he decided to play the hits. As Swinney puts the band back together, one must wonder whether this nostalgia move swerves as the kickoff to a Clemson farewell tour. Jim Knowles, Tennessee defensive coordinator. Being the defensive coordinator opposite Josh Heupel's warp speed of offense is not for the faint of heart. Knowles accepts the task after he hit the market following James Franklin's ouster at Penn State. Knowles brings an impressive body of work, including a national championship with 2024 Ohio State, but his defense strangely became part of the problem in Franklin's final season. Even so, Knowles brought in some talented players from Penn State, none more important than defensive linemen Chaz Coleman and Xavier Gilliam. Knowles' assignment is clear: restore confidence to a Tennessee defense that ranked among the SEC's worst in 2025, after ranking among its best in 2024 when the Bulls made the playoff. Blake Topmeyer is the USA Today's network's senior national college football columnist. Email him at capital B, capital T, lowercase OPPMEYER at Gannett, GANNETT.com, and follow him on X at btopmeyer. It's not wanting to go back to the beginning. Let's see. Master Gardener shares tips for rosemary, invasive trees, and pruning. Helen Vanella, Master Gardeners of Greene County, special to the News-Leader. My rosemary plants die back every year, but I do know someone who has a large rosemary plant that has lived through several winters. What can I do to keep mine alive in cold weather? In general, most rosemary plants sold in our area are not cold hardy and can only survive above 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Rosemary is a Mediterranean plant, hardy in zones 8 through 10. Our area is mostly zones 6 through 7, too cold even with protection. There are some cold-tolerant varieties that can be hardy in temperatures to 0, zones 6 to 10, with ARP being the most cold-hardy. Besides selecting a more cold-tolerant variety, location and moisture controls are also factors that will help a rosemary plant survive winter. The plant will have the best chance of survival if planted in the ground instead of a container, planted on the south side of a building where it can receive full sun and protection from the wind. Heavy mulch over the roots, but not touching the stem of the plant, is also good practice. Soil that is well drained is also important to prevent root rot. In an especially dry winter, some watering when the ground is not frozen may be necessary. I want to plant some new trees in my yard. What are some invasive species that I should avoid? There are many invasive trees and other plants growing in Missouri that should be avoided. An invasive plant by definition is one that is a threat to the native ecosystem because of its rapid spread, crowding out native species and adding nothing in return. These invasive species do not contribute to the ecosystem by feeding wildlife, providing benefit to the ecosystem, and at the same time crowd out native trees that do provide great benefit to our environment. Some of the worst include tree of heaven, Bradford or Callery pear, Norway maple, and Russian olive. Some, such as Bradford pear, have been added to the noxious weeds list and will be illegal to sell, while some are still being offered for sale. The best control, aside from not planting these in the first place, is removal and use of herbicides to prevent regrowth. The best alternative for these invasives include a wide variety of native trees, all of which are suitable for our ecosystem and provide food and shelter to many species of wildlife, including birds and insects. What shrubs and trees should be pruned this month? What shrubs should not be pruned now? Oak trees in particular should be pruned now, while the beetles that spread oak wilt disease are still dormant to avoid spreading this disease. Other shade trees such as elm, oak, ash, and sycamore can also be pruned now. It is important to prune while the tree is still dormant to avoid stimulating new growth too soon, before the last frost has occurred. Spring blooming shrubs should not be pruned now as they bloom on old wood. Pruning now would remove blooms for the spring. Readers can pose questions or get information by calling 417-874-2963 and talking to one of the trained volunteers staffing the Master Gardener Hotline at the University of Missouri Extension Center in Greene County, located inside the Botanical Center, 2400 South Scenic Avenue, Springfield, Missouri, 65807. New coffee vendor. Food vendor is to set up shop in Springfield's Library Center by Susan Such. This week in 417 Foodie News, the Library Center prepares for a new coffee vendor, and a buffet offers increased seafood options for Lent. Plus, who calls for a barbecue emergency? Library Center to get new coffee food vendor. A new business, the Golden Goose Cafe, has posted a coming soon sign in the cafe area of the Library Center at 4653 South Campbell Avenue. According to a job listing for a barista baker at the Golden Goose Cafe, the spot will be baking and cooking from scratch daily. While the library has hosted coffee vendors since its opening in 1999, according to prior News-Leader reporting, the COVID-19 pandemic ended a 12-year run for Mudhouse at that location. Other vendors like Seattle Roast Coffee and Polymath Cafe have struggled in that spot, with neither lasting longer than a year. Buffet offers all-you-can-eat shrimp, more seafood for Lent. Whether you're observing Lent or just really enjoy seafood, Golden Corral 2020 East Primrose Place is offering up an all-you-can-eat shrimp and steak, as well as more options from the water. Seafood offerings include seafood cakes, baked fish, bone-in catfish, Cajun breaded fried fish, and lightly battered jumbo butterfly shrimp. Additionally, dining guests can add on a lobster tail for $7.99. Pictured is a plate full of fried shrimp, some steak, broccoli, mashed potatoes with some sauce, and another plate with a lobster tails and some butter and lemon. The all-you-can-eat shrimp and steak and lobster tail add-on are available for dinner on weekdays after 4 p.m. until April 19th. Ozarks barbecue spot rolls out enhanced ambulance. If you've got a fever and the only cure is more barbecue, Uptown Hog has you covered with its ambulance. The kitchen has turned a retired ambulance into a food truck and recently added a service window to the rig. We're one step closer to bringing barbecue straight to you. Catering, events, and on-site services just got even smoother, and we can't wait to fire this thing up and start serving through the window, a February 16th post said. The ambulance debuted in October 2025. To bring the ambulance to your office or event, call or text Uptown Hog at 417-901-0025 or email them at info@uptownhog.com. Uptown Hog also serves up brisket, mac and cheese, beans, and more from 14 Mill Market, 203 East Mount Vernon Street in Nixa. The 14 Mill Market location is opened 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Open 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, and closed on Monday. Looking for next big thing to read. What's new? Iron Maiden, My Chemical Romance, to headline Louder Than Life. Get tickets now. Trisha Easto from USA Today. Pictured are fans at a concert. Thousands of fans enjoyed the performances during the 2025 Louder Than Life Festival at the Kentucky Exposition Center in Louisville, Kentucky on September 21st, 2025. And we have fans of all ages screaming in excitement. The Louder Than Life 2026 festival lineup has been announced, featuring over 200 rock and metal acts. Headliners include Iron Maiden, My Chemical Romance, Limp Bizkit, and Tool across the 4-day event. The festival will take place in Kentucky from Thursday, September 17th to Sunday, September 20th, 2026. Both single-day tickets and 4-day passes are currently available for purchase. Festival season is almost here. Louder Than Life is one for the rock and metal fans out there, and festival organizers just released the full lineup for the 4-day concert event in Kentucky. From My Chemical Romance and Iron Maiden to A Day to Remember, Limp Bizkit, Papa Roach, and Sublime, the lineup is jam-packed with crowd favorites, and over 200 acts total. Acts include Pierce the Veil, Alice Cooper, Jimmy Eat World, and Bowling for Soup. Single-day tickets and 4-day passes are both available now for this end of summer festival. Who is performing at the 2026 Louder Than Life Festival? The Louder Than Life Festival had already announced 2 headliners, My Chemical Romance and Iron Maiden, but they've since released a full lineup. Here's a look. Thursday, September 17th includes Iron Maiden, Pantera, Megadeth. Friday, September 18th has My Chemical Romance, Pierce the Veil, A Day to Remember. Saturday, September 19th has Limp Bizkit, Papa Roach, and Sublime. Sunday, September 20th, Tool, Gojira, and Danny Elfman. Here's a look at the full list on day 1. Iron Maiden, Pantera, Danzig, Megadeth, Rise Against, Alice Cooper, Jimmy Eat World, Sabaton, Hot Mulligan, Anthrax, Skillet, Alkaline Trio, Machine Head, Suicidal Tendencies, Starset, Bowling for Soup, Fit for a King, From Ashes to New, Lit, Guar, Era, Chelsea Grin, After the Burial, Currents, Metal Church, The Acacia Strain, Immure, Mac Sabbath, The Ataris, The Rasmus, Volumes, Born of Osiris, Red, Adelitis Way, Thousands Below, Chained Saint, 0936, Elijah, Holy Wars, Like Moths to Flames, Sings of the Swarm, Archers, King 810, The Violent Hour, Dark Divine, Sent by Ravens, Cane Hill, Set for Tomorrow, Make Them Suffer. Here's a look at the full lineup for Louder Than Life Day 2. My Chemical Romance, Pierce the Veil, A Day to Remember, a very special guest to be announced, The Used, Coheed and Cambria, The Pretty Reckless, Taking Back Sunday, Sleeping with Sirens, The Warning, Cavalera, Chade Gray of Mudvayne and Hell Yeah, Bad Flower, We the Kings, Loathe, LS Dunes, President, Palais Royale, Get Scared, Elisa White Gloves, Soulfly, Lacey Sturm, The Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, Holding Absence, Haywire, Ivory, Scene Queen, Caskets, Rain City Drive, Mushroom Head, Angel Dust, Windwalkers, Twitching Tongues, Powermen 5000, Jeff Hardy, Butcher Babies, Missing Link, Showing Teeth, Mystery Guest to be announced, Earshot, 40 Below Summer, Gates to Hell, Death Valley Dreams, and Billy McNichol. Day 3 tickets lineup. The full lineup is Limp Bizkit, Sublime, Papa Roach, Baby Metal, Hailstorm, Ice Nine Kills, Circa Survive, Bill Murray, In This Moment, Dance Gavin Dance, Chiodos, Nothing More, Tom Morello, Lindsey Sterling, Coal Chamber, Kubla Khan, Texas, POD, Thursday, Set It Off, Blood for Blood, Orianthe, Boundaries, Spite, Agnostic Front, Alien Ant Farm, Body Snatcher, The Funeral Portrait, Peeling Flesh, Hail the Sun, Madball, Scary Kids Scaring Kids, The Barbarians of California, H2O, Josie Scott of Salvia, Soil, Icon for Hire, Cami Kehoe, Co-Defendants, Texas Hippie Coalition, Emarosa, Gemini Syndrome, Shaman's Harvest, Fox Lake, Many Eyes, Tantric, TX2, Diamante, otherwise Doobie, Heavy Hitter. And day 4 tickets lineup include, or the full lineup is, Tool, Gojira, The Prodigy, Danny Elfman, The Mars Volta, Mastodon, Black Label Society, Killswitch Engage, Ministry, Death Clock, Black Veil Brides, Under Oath, Alexis is on Fire, Animals as Leaders, Thrice, The Home Team, Sleep Theory, Atreyu, Tsunami, Filter, Between the Buried and Me, Toadies, Escape the Fate, Jutes, Haste the Day, Holy Water, Locked Shut, I See Stars, The Word Alive, Emery, Maylene and the Sons of Disasters, Arrows in Action, Austin Carlisle of Mice and Men, The Pretty Wild, End It, Rivers of Nail, 200 Stab Wounds, 156/Silence, Say 6, Greyhaven, He is Legend, Aviana, Villanova, Future Palace, Corpse Pile, Body Box, Bolt Cutter, Resolve, Dreamwake. If you dig deeper, let's see, BTS tickets are on sale. Shop tickets for the K-Pop's Group 2026 tour. This opened in January by Trisha Easto at USA Today. The K-pop group BTS is returning to the stage for their first formal tour since 2019. The U.S. leg of the tour includes 23 stops with dates currently scheduled in March 2027. Some tickets became available on January 22nd, with the main sale beginning on January 24th. K-pop fans, are you ready? BTS is finally heading back to the touring stage. The K-pop group has not formally toured since 2019. The group faced several cancellations during 2020 due to COVID-19, which was replaced with a smaller concert series that spanned 21 through 2022. Then they took a break. The BTS World kicks off on Thursday, April 9th in Goyang, South Korea. It officially comes to the U.S. on Saturday, April 25th in Tampa, Florida. The tour currently has dates scheduled into March 2027, with international stops in Korea, Japan, Mexico, Spain, the UK, Germany, France, and many, many more. The tour includes 25 total stops just in the U.S. leg, but tickets will go fast. Here's everything you need to know at BTS World Tour tickets. They launched, it's a link to get tickets through StubHub. So, let's see, who else is touring? Oh, happy birthday, Dolly. That's an old article. Well, we're going to skip that one. Looking for some new news. We've got what to know is Missouri's trout season starts March 1st. But there's no information. We're just scrolling into other articles. Let's see. Is this a new article? Nope, that's from 2024. Let's see if we can get something out of the Business Journal. Let's see what else is going on around Springfield. We've already done the tower. Council hears proposal for a $42 million municipal court building by Karen Kragos. Springfield's current municipal court building, built in 1965, is once a cafeteria, and that's evident when looking at one of its breaker panels still marked to indicate the dishwasher and salad bar. It's a building that was never intended to be used as a municipal court facility, according to Stephanie Shadwick, principal and architect of Inform Architecture, LLC. The 9,800 square foot structure could expand more than fourfold if city leaders opt for a 3-story, 45,500 square foot design proposed by Inform Architecture in a Springfield City Council luncheon meeting February 17th. The proposed building, with an estimated cost of $42 million, would be sited on city-owned property fronting Chestnut Expressway just west of historic City Hall between Boonville and Canville Avenues. Colin Quigley, deputy city manager, said Inform was chosen through a qualification-based selection process to do a pre-designed study to evaluate potential sites of a new municipal court facility and develop a refined scope of programming and floor plans and elevations, as well as probable costs. The first step, Shadwick said, was a needs assessment that required a close look at the existing facility, which began being used as a municipal court facility in 1993. As you can imagine, their needs have evolved over those past 30 years, and also this was a building that was never intended to be used for municipal court, she said. Shadwick said the building was an insufficient number of courts, with just one undersized courtroom that is about half of the minimum size needed today. She added that the current docket supports a need for 2 courtrooms today and a third in the near future. Wendy Garrison, chief judge of the municipal court, was present at the council luncheon with numbers to back that claim. She said 32,364 people came into the building in 2025, and there were 19,551 cases. That doesn't count administrative hearings, she said, adding that without a separate room for these, they have to be scheduled around court hearings. For those hearings that are required to take place within 48 hours, she said, sometimes the municipal court cannot comply due to lack of space. Shadwick also went through some of the problems of the existing municipal court building, which is heavily used on court days, with lines wrapping around the exterior of the building for people to await screening one at a time, and around the interior walls as they await courtroom appearances or the opportunity to pay fines. The building has an undersized lobby and congested hallways, she says. Individuals just line the perimeter of that lobby, she said. The lines block access to clerks' windows, and when people get the access they need to do so at the expense of privacy, as they are within earshot of anyone else in the lobby, Shadwick said. It's about half the size of what this lobby should be based on the current building code, she said. The clerks themselves have inadequately sized workspaces and limited surface area for them to function, she said. She added that more offices are needed. Additionally, files are stored in open office spaces and are insufficiently secured, and off-site storage is used. That's inefficient from an operations standpoint when you actually have to leave your facility to gain access to some of those files, she said. Shadwick said that there are only 2 toilets in public areas and no mother's room for public or staff use, she said. Inadequate parking means people use space owned by Jordan Valley Health with no cooperative parking agreement in place. Shadwick also outlined issues like aging utilities and accessible issues for people with disabilities. The proposed building. Shadwick outlined a proposed design for a new municipal court facility. The building presented has a bottom floor for employee parking and a secure sally port for intimate use, a ground floor for inmate use. That's what it was. A secure sally port for inmate use, a ground floor for administrative areas, and a top floor mainly for courtrooms. In modern-day courthouse design, you really do see about a third of the program dedicated to circulation, and that is simply because we have to separate the public, the staff, and the inmates, she said. You do not want those paths to cross, so this is in line with current courthouse design standards. The design-forward building proposed aims to integrate with and provide a gateway to the government buildings that surround it, she said, calling the design an expansion of this urban parkway along Chestnut Expressway with increased building frontage along Chestnut Expressway and Boonville Avenue. This is an opportunity for a gateway to the intergovernmental campus, as well as wayfinding signage, Shadwick said. It's also an opportunity to incorporate local art and sculpture within the multi-modal use pathways that go through the urban parkway, creating some points of interest and points of walkability around the site. In coming up with the design, she said, the team looked at adjacent buildings like the historic City Hall, the Bush Municipal Building, and the Greene County Courthouse. The design incorporates elements common to these buildings like durable stone, punched openings, and strong horizontal elements. We wanted to be mindful and be respectful of the scale of the building as it relates to the historic City Hall. We don't want to be overshadowing that, she said. Financing and timeline. Shadwick said the timeline for the building would likely be 4 years from the issuing of a request for proposals to completion, with 12 months for design work and 18 months for construction. Quickly outlined a tentative plan to meet with the projected cost of $42 million with the $6.5 million in one-time funds. These include $740,000 in marijuana sales tax funds from fiscal 2026 and 2027, $507,000 in fiscal 2025 carryover, $4 million in state reimbursement funds, $1 million in available court facilities fees, and $250,000 from the sale of the existing municipal court property, a rough guess, according to Quigley. That would bring the balance to $35.5 million to be financed for 20 years at 5% interest or $2.9 million. Quigley said a subsidy from parking lot financing will be released in fiscal 2029, clearing up $800,000 per year for use, and the $250,000 would be available from the law enforcement sales tax fund. Not included in the calculations were a possible allocation from the Citizens Advisory Board of Spring Forward SGF half-cent tax funds, but Quigley said the facility would be the kind of transformative project the tax is intended to fund. He added that a proposal has not been made to the CAB. Factored together, the annual debt service not covered by one-time funds, the shortfall is $1.84 million. Quigley said, and more ongoing revenue would have to be found to finance the remaining cost. Councilmember Craig Hosmer made a case for the proposed building. There's a reason to have big courtrooms. There's a reason judges wear black robes, because it requires people to pay a little bit more respect to the court and to the judicial personnel, he said. When the facility does not match those standards, it leads to disrespect of court personnel and processes, according to Hosmer. I think it needs to have more grandeur, he said. It sounds like it's something that's not important, but I think it really is. He added that the security of judges, prosecutors, and the public is also a need with the current facility that is tough to secure. Councilmember Abe McGull said the informed design looks nice, and the third largest city in Missouri deserves a nice court building to accommodate residents and court personnel alike. Councilmember Abe McGull said the informed design looks nice, and which I just read. Springfield has grown enough now that we should appear to be a metropolitan area, and this is quite fitting for us, he said. I'm ready to move forward. The council lunch session was informational, and future steps for the facility were not announced. The city has a not-to-exceed contract with Inform for $50,000 for pre-design work, and the company has billed the city $48,500. There we go. We've got poking around. Federal judge orders bond hearings for some ICE detainees. Did we read that yesterday? I'm not sure reading this, so I'm going to read it. Hopefully, if anybody didn't catch it yesterday, we'll catch it today. Court filings end up in federal court in Springfield because the inmates, many arrested in other parts of the nation, are incarcerated in Greene County. With increasing regularity, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE detainees in the Greene County Jail are demanding bond hearings and suing Greene County Sheriff Jim Arnott, ICE, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and Attorney General Pam Bondi. Federal judges M. Douglas Harpool and Brian C. Wimes have sided with plaintiffs, ordering Arnott and federal officials to either set a bond hearing in 7 to 10 days or release the detainees. Federal judges are making similar rulings across the nation. The granting of a bond hearing does not necessarily stop deportation. Instead, it allows the detainee to post a bond and get out of jail as the matter is resolved. Many of the detainees filing these federal habeas petitions are from across the nation, but their pleadings are landing in federal court in Springfield because the jail where they are incarcerated is in Greene County. A habeas petition is a legal action that allows a detained person to challenge in court their imprisonment. A quick review of federal online filings show that Arnott was named as a defendant or a respondent 4 times in 2022, 4 times in 2023, 6 times in 2024, 26 times in 2025, and 18 times thus far in 2026. Jail signed contract with ICE in October 2024. Pictured is Greene County Sheriff Jim Arnott, who has been named in the growing number of legal filings made by ICE inmates in the Greene County Jail. He's wearing a patterned button-down shirt with a blue background and white pattern. He has a peppered short beard, and he is wearing a thin-framed wire glasses and a black cowboy hat. The jail has a contract with the federal government to house up to 300 ICE detainees a day. Greene County receives about $100 a day in reimbursement for each ICE detainee. That $100 does not include the cost of any medications the ICE detainees receive in jail. The contract was signed in October 2024 and has resulted in hundreds of ICE detainees landing in the Greene County Jail as the Trump administration ramped up efforts to arrest and deport people deemed to be in the United States without proper documentation. The administration assured Americans it would go after the worst of the worst. I reached out to the sheriff's office and asked if Greene County was incurring any of the expense involved in these legal proceedings or if the cost is being borne by the federal government. I did not hear back by deadline. Rekha Sharma Crawford, an immigration attorney in Kansas City, told the Daily Citizen late last year the sheriff must be named in these lawsuits since the inmates are in Greene County, but the lawsuits are really focused on the Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security. Judge says he's had 26 of these cases. In rulings filed in recent weeks that I've looked at, Harpool and Wimes have concluded that those detainees who have been living in the country for years, if not decades, should be treated differently than those detained at the border. They've concluded that detainees who have lived here for years and do not have a criminal record are entitled to a bond hearing. Pictured is Judge M. Douglas Harpool. He is wearing his black robe and he has shorter black hair, male haircut. Sorry, that was bad. I asked of Harpool if this new caseload was difficult in terms of resources at the federal courthouse. He responded via email. When we order a bond hearing, it is before an immigration judge. Those hearings typically are occurring before immigration judges in Kansas City. They do not occur in our courthouse by our court's judges. I have one case where I ruled the bond hearing provided failed to comply with legal requirements, but that was atypical. Normally, the decision to issue bond is solely up to immigration judges. I have heard they are backed up. I should note that immigration judges are not part of the federal judiciary. They are part of the Department of Justice, and they are hired and fired by Attorney General Bondi. Several of our federal district judges have these habeas cases and have ordered bond hearings, Harpool said. Last count, I had 26 of these cases. Habeas cases must be filed in the district where the inmate is found. In some of these cases, I have simply ordered release based on previously approved parole. ICE had detained them even though they were on approved parole. On all others, I ruled they were entitled to bond hearings. Previous administrations from both parties had provided bond hearings in these situations, but this administration took the opposite position. These cases are being litigated all over the country. Virtually all district judges have ruled as I have, but several circuit courts, including the 8th, which includes the Springfield area, have expedited cases to resolve the legal issue. a detainee from China and one from Russia. Neither have a criminal record. In 2 separate cases I have reviewed, Harpo ruled in favor of plaintiffs Qikeng Fu of China and Tatiana Lishkina of Russia. Here's a brief look at their histories according to court documents. Fu entered the United States 3 years ago. Petitioner has no criminal record. On January 15, 2026, he was taken into custody by ICE, ERO, Enforcement and Removal Operations officials during his ICE check-in. He had previously presented himself to a number of check-ins throughout the years. He had been present in the United States. He had been held without a bond hearing. Harpo ordered on February 17th that Fu be released from custody. He was not on the online jail roster when I checked February 19th. Lashkina is a citizen of Russia who entered the U.S. to seek protection from persecution and torture. She arrived at Chicago O'Hare Airport on June 25, 2016, with her 3 children. Upon arrival, she expressed a well-founded fear of persecution based on death threats and attacks tied to her spouse's refusal to participate in corruption related to their family's sawmill business in Russia. Petitioner suffered persecution, including death threats and attacks after her husband refused to pay extortion demands related to their business. Quote, Petitioner has significant U.S. equities, including nearly 10 years of continuous residence, the presence of all her children and their families, including a U.S.-born grandchild, and strong community ties. Petitioner has never been arrested or charged with any crime. On November 20th, 2025, Petitioner and her spouse drove to a local Home Depot to shop for business supplies. They were immediately surrounded by multiple vehicles and blocked on all sides. An ICE agent called their names, approached them, and arrested them on the alleged basis of being illegal. This occurred despite Petitioner's long-term residence in the United States and her pending asylum application before an immigration court. Harpo ruled that Lashkina either have a bond hearing within 10 days of the date of his ruling, which was January 14th, or be released. A bond hearing was held January 23rd. Bond was set at $20,000 by an immigration judge. Harpo reviewed the bond and determined that ICE's expressed concern that Lashkina was a flight risk were not supported by any evidence presented. He ordered that either a new bond hearing be held or she be released. She was released. His criminal record, a brake light out. Judge Wimes ruled in favor of plaintiffs Randu Escato and Jose Bravo Vargas, 42. According to court documents, Escato in 2013 entered the United States without inspection or authorization. In November 2020, DHS arrested Escato and placed him on removal proceedings. Thereafter, Escato was released on a $5,000 bond. In August 2025, DHS again detained Escato as inadmissible. Escato is and has been in ICE custody and has not provided a bond hearing. Court records do not indicate Escato had a bond hearing. He apparently was released. I checked the jail roster February 19th, and he was not listed. Posted is a picture of Judge Brian Wimes. He is a well-looking brown gentleman with short hair and wearing his judge's robes. Both judges had ordered that detainees could not be moved out of the court's jurisdiction while the matter of bond was being determined. Pictured is Jose Bravo Vargas, and he has short brown hair with a beard and is wearing a gray V-neck t-shirt. Regarding Bravo Vargas, in 2006, Bravo Vargas entered the United States without inspection or authorization and has not departed the country since his arrival. He has maintained employment, has 4 children who are United States citizens, and 1 who is a lawful permanent resident by marriage and has no criminal history. His only law enforcement contact prior to his arrival by ICE was a citation for a failed brake light, for which he incurred a small fine that he promptly paid. Wimes made his ruling February 17th. He ordered that either Bravo Vargas have a bond hearing within 7 calendar days or be released. As of February 21st, Bravo Vargas no longer appeared on the Greene County Jail's online roster. This is Pokin' Around column number 340 by Steve Pokin. Steve Pokin writes the Pokin' Around and the Answer Man columns for the Springfield Daily Citizen. He also writes about criminal justice issues. He can be reached at spokin@sgfcitizen.org. His office line is 417-837-3661. Let's see, we have time for just one more article. The Springfield man wants felony murder charges dropped in the death of a 4-year-old. I don't think we covered this yesterday. It's an article from yesterday at the Springfield Daily Citizen. Sean Collins is a felon and cannot legally possess a firearm. Last summer, police say a 4-year-old picked up a gun in Collins' home and fatally shot himself. Prosecutors charged Collins with second-degree murder under Missouri's felony murder statute. This is by Jackie Rehold. Editors note this story was updated on February 23rd when the judge entered a formal order overruling Collins' motion to dismiss the charge. The Springfield man charged with second-degree murder after a 4-year-old boy at his home picked up a loaded handgun and fatally shot himself last summer is asking the judge to dismiss the murder charge. Sean Antone Collins, 30, is also charged with the felonies of endangering the welfare of a child, death of a child, 3 counts of unlawful possession of a firearm, and 3 counts of receiving stolen property. He is being held in the Greene County Jail without bond. Collins was charged with second-degree murder under Missouri's felony murder statute, meaning prosecutors do not allege he killed the child, but rather that Collins was perpetrating a felony and the child died as a result. The underlying felony in this case is the unlawful possession of a firearm charge, since Collins is a convicted felon. Collins' defense attorney filed a motion to dismiss the second-degree murder charge in January, arguing in part that the underlying felony of unlawful possession of a firearm does not create a reasonable, foreseeable risk of death. A hearing was held Wednesday, February 18th, in Judge Jerry Hermison's courtroom, at which attorneys for both sides made arguments about the issues relating to the felony murder charge. At the conclusion of the hearing, Hermison said that he would take the issue under advisement. On February 23rd, the judge entered a formal order overruling Collins' motion to dismiss the murder charge. Pictured is Sean Collins at his booking photo. He's wearing a red T-shirt, and he has a mustache with a small, a shorter haircut. Police say that the 4-year-old boy picked up a loaded gun and shot himself on the afternoon of August 8, 2025 at Collins' home in the 900 block of North Fulbright Avenue. The child was rushed to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. According to charging documents, police searched the house with Collins' permission and found 3 loaded guns that had been reported stolen. Collins is a convicted felon and prohibited from possessing firearms. According to the documents, Collins was outside barbecuing and using marijuana with other adults when they heard the gunshot from inside the residence. Collins allegedly told police that it was his friend's gun that was left loaded and accessible to the boy. He was also allegedly told police he was unaware he was a felon and was prohibited from possessing a gun. His defense, possessing a gun does not necessarily mean someone will die. Collins' defense attorney, John Peacock, argued at Wednesday's hearing that using the unlawful possession of a firearm charge as the underlying felony to charge Collins with second-degree murder is an overexpansion as the original purpose of Missouri's felony murder statute. It's about what's right, Peacock said. Expanding felony murder and taking a tragedy and making it into a crime of this proportion is improper, and we do believe that it breaks the spirit of the law. It breaks the ability of my client to defend himself. Peacock argued the underlying felony, when considered in the abstract, does not create a reasonably foreseeable risk of death as required for proximate causation and felony murder cases. It should be foreseeable that committing that felony results in death. It should be. This is not one of those cases, Peacock said at the hearing. This crime does not automatically mean a death will occur. Robbing someone will. Possession or distributing drugs will. But this isn't that. Greene County First Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Elizabeth Fax pointed to case law that allows the underlying felony to be unlawful possession of a firearm and said whether a proximate cause has been established should be decided at trial. Those are factual disputes that we can resolve through trial. It could be inappropriate at this point for the court to dismiss it based on factual disputes, Fax said. Their position is that I will not be able to meet the burden of proof, and if that is true, then the trier of fact will decide that the defendant is not guilty of murder in the second degree. Peacock also argued that the charge of second-degree murder violates Collins' Eighth Amendment rights, which protects Collins from cruel and unusual punishments. The attorney pointed out the punishments range from the Class C felony of unlawful possession of a firearm is 3 to 10 years in prison, and the punishment range for second-degree murder is from anywhere from 10 to 30 years or life. This isn't something in the statute the unlawful possession of a firearm gives notice of, Peacock said, referring to a potential sentence of 30 years in prison. That range of punishment is well in excess of what one would expect if they were convicted of that offense, unlawful possession of a firearm. Prosecutor, that's gun ownership 101. Pictured is Elizabeth Fax. She is a younger woman with long blonde hair, and she is wearing a multicolored striped shirt with a brown jacket and an American flag behind her. Facts: the prosecutor pointed out that the maximum penalty for that unlawful possession of a firearm is the same as the minimum for second-degree murder. I think that the punishment fits the crime, so to speak. It would not fall into cruel and unusual territory, Facts said. A lot of the defense's argument was, we can have a firearm and not to expect that it's going to kill someone, which I disagree with. But we're not talking about legal possession of a firearm. We are talking about he is a felon and was unlawfully in the possession of that firearm, and he left the firearm out, and the defendant's son accessed that firearm and was killed, Beck said. In terms of Eighth Amendment, if we're talking about what is the normal person on notice for, well, a normal person would understand that if I leave a loaded firearm within access that I can't legally possess and my 3-year-old can get a hold of it, that there's going to be a crime associated with that contact. That's gun ownership 101. Loaded gun left in the game room. According to the probable cause statement, the police also found an ammunition magazine under the bathroom sink that appeared to have blood on it. Investigators believe the magazine goes to a Glock 43, which the boy was handling when he shot himself. According to the statement, that gun had been left loaded on a counter under the television in what was described as the game room. According to the statement, an adult friend of Collins, who is not named in the document, is the one who brought the gun to Collins' home and who called 911. This friend allegedly told police he believed Collins went inside and made an attempt to hide the other guns before police arrived. There we go. Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Store radio reading service. Come by and see us in person with daily deals at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield. Veterans receive a 25% discount every day, providing significant savings as a token of appreciation for their service. Additionally, the store features a weekly clothing sale where all clothing items are available at 50% off every Wednesday. Seniors aged 55 and older benefit from a 25% discount every Tuesday, making shopping more affordable for the blind community. We are broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store, the world's first retail store to use NaviLens to help navigate and inform blind and visually impaired individuals while shopping with little to no assistance. For more information, visit our website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for more information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And thanks for bearing with me today as being solo. It was great to be able to be of service. You have a great day.